Check, check. There we go. So. Good afternoon again. We're reconvening to open session and reporting out from closed session. And I'm glad to say that we have nothing to report out from closed session, so we can move on to item 4.1, public comment guidelines. And these are public comments limited to agenda items. And we do have one person that would like to address the board, Anjanette Oberg. And the topic is psychology and ethnic studies. And it's regarding, I'm sorry, regarding item 11.1. Not very well. Give it a try and see.
This, can you hear? Do I have 2 minutes or
3.
Thank you. Aloha, I am Anjanette Oberg. I am a psychology faculty member. I had the opportunity to speak with you in the November meeting. My apologies, I wasn't able to make it to the December meeting, but I do want to follow up on a couple of things. I'm here to speak to agenda item 11.1, wherein we discuss and outline new values for our strategic plan. And the new value statement emphasizes empowerment and a commitment to fostering growth, welcoming all, and showing care for one another. And I'm here as a faculty member to say, I don't feel empowered or cared for here at MSJC, particularly by my executive cabinet and sadly, my VPI. Our department came to you and spoke in a November meeting about concerns about the positions that you are approving. Unfortunately, you approved positions, including eliminating a psychology position against the advice of Senate, as well as the Joint Hiring Committee, and you completely dismissed the faculty concerns that were brought before you. I want you to know a little bit about the department that you voted for, that was impacted by that vote. We have actually experienced 4 deaths of psychology faculty members in the last 4 years. And we have had actually none, no support from executive cabinet. Nobody's reached out to make sure we're okay. In 2021, 3 of our faculty members were diagnosed with cancer. Of those 3, I am the only survivor. Not once has any member of the executive cabinet checked in on me. Not once. My vice president at Miracosta, where I teach part-time, 1 class a semester, called me and reached out to me immediately when they found out I was diagnosed. And they regularly check in on me to make sure I'm okay. That's care. That's leadership. Our former SGA president, Joya, spoke to concerns about faculty treatment. And sadly, that is a direct reflection of the institutional culture that we're experiencing. We do not have caring and support modeled for us in our leadership. We have managers that are taking a very punitive approach, eliminating positions and saying we're not efficient. Well, I wonder why. Take the time to get to know what's going on in your faculty's lives. Care about us as people so we can thrive and we can care for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Oberg. Okay. We're going to move on to item 5, reports. 5.1, board president and trustees. And as is our custom, we'll start at the end and move towards Roger. So trustee Calvin Smith.
First, I want to welcome everybody back for a new year and hope they have a terrific year to go forward. However, we do want to acknowledge all of those that is in this fire because I think almost all of us know someone that was touched by a tragic thing that happened. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those. And other than that, I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Corona.
So Martin Luther King Jr. Day is on Monday, all right? At my school here, I believe we'll also have the day off. And MSJC will be hosting its traditional breakfast celebration. Having attended in the past, I hope to join again this year to honor Dr. King's legacy. Classes have officially begun on January the 13th, and I want to wish our dedicated instructors and professors the best luck of this semester. To our 25 to 30,000 plus students at MSJC, remember to work hard, stay focused, and reach out when you need support. Whether it's turning in assignments on time, whether it's speaking with your professors or connecting with counselors and staff, help is always available. As someone taking a course this year, yes, I'm taking a course this year here at MSJC. I understand and I'm excited. I understand the challenges many of you face, balancing work, family, school, and the financial demands of registration and textbook. Okay, it's paid $150 for my book. Somebody asked me, hey, are you getting any, discounts? I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not easy, but your perseverance will pay off. Okay, so that's one book. Right? Imagine students that are taking 15, 16 units. This journey is about investing in your future. Think about that, students. Let's make the semester a meaningful and successful one together. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Trustee Silva, you're up.
Thank you, Trustee Ashley. I have no report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Carpenter.
Thank you. Happy New Year and happy spring session to all of you. Good luck. As with all of the trustees, my heart goes out to those that have suffered losses in the fire, and that a lot of displaced, well, many, and we've been put on notice, at least the realtor associations, there are people that have been displaced coming into the Inland Empire and looking for housing. So I'm hoping to get something out to that if anyone does have one and we can offer that. Otherwise, it's been a light month for me. I did attend the Southwest County Legislative Council. Karen Marriott was there as well. And for a briefing on what's going on in upcoming bills. Supervisor Chuck Washington was the guest speaker who highlighted the Higher Ed Coalition and its contribution to them, along with the county's contribution to the college, MSJC. It was interesting to hear that actually in 2007, I don't know if you knew this, Roger, but that supervisor, I think he was on the council at the time, Chuck Washington actually went to UC San Marcos with a group, a coalition, to talk about having a campus here in the Southwest Riverside County area. And so it's interesting that look at where we're at now and getting much closer to that. And that I look forward to my legislative trip to Sacramento the end of the month, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter. I have a slightly unconventional report tonight. First of all, welcome back to all the students and faculty for a new semester. I hope everyone gets great grades and has a great semester of teaching. But I'd like to focus a little bit on the Altadena and Palisades fires. Clearly, everyone's heartbroken for all the loss of life and loss of property, and the resulting homelessness of so many people. Disturbingly, California's never hesitated to help other states that have had hurricanes and floods. Not for one moment. California's the powerhouse engine. If Texas is an 800-pound gorilla, we're Godzilla. And I saw that movie and I know who wins. Like, we're a big state wielding tremendous economic power. And I want everyone to know that it is my intention to personally, I will not be attending ACCT in Louisiana in October unless Speaker Mike Johnson turns away from his comments about putting conditions on relief to California. And I will be encouraging everybody I know in the California Community College League to do the same. And I hope that we do not give one penny to any state that thinks that they can deny us funding for this tragedy. It's disgusting. And so I just wanted to make it very clear. I don't intend to just be disgusted. I intend to try to take money away from states that think that they can deny us relief and try to put conditions on relief in the middle of this most horrific tragedy that I think our state's ever seen. So hopefully I don't think I've minced my words but I could say, I could put this in a lot worse way. So I just want everyone to know that that's my intent. I hope no one goes from MSJC to Louisiana. I know it's in New Orleans, but maybe things will change and maybe it was all bluster. And if that's the case, shame on them for thinking that kind of bluster is appropriate. And we'll move on and let that go, okay, as an indiscretion. That's all I have for my comments. And at this point, I'll hand it off to our student trustee, Sam Cardenas.
Good afternoon, board. I'm glad to be back and I'm happy to see you all happy and healthy today. There has been a lot of things happening within this past month. For some, it could be relaxation. For others, it's travesty. I do hope and wish for the best for those who were affected by the fire, along with a lot of the damage that's been happening. It's very, very sad to see, very saddening. In regards to schooling, it is fortunately and unfortunately my last semester before I transfer into UCR. I will try my best to be using the rest of my time to my advantage and make sure that you guys hear what the students are shouting at. But in regards to students today, I would like to advocate for those students who unfortunately have been led the wrong way while trying to get ready for their transfer programs. It is becoming a main issue that a lot of counselors that students reach out to and trying to schedule their pathway have been led astray in the wrong way and occasionally given the wrong classes to accomplish. This is a case I've seen countless times, many, many times. I am fortunate enough to say that I have not been within that case, but it has happened way too many times to be seen. And it's a concern because this doesn't allow students to make it in a plan that should be step by step and creates a disadvantage for those who are trying to do it within the time that they want to. Other than that, this is just the beginning of a new semester, new changes. I think there are going to be a lot of things changing within this next month in regards to college students. And I do hope that we are resilient enough to not be affected by so. Other than that, I will keep you guys updated and make sure that my voice is still being used and my voice is still being heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Cardenas. 5.3 Superintendent, President, and Executive Cabinet reports.
We'll go with cabinet first.
So welcome back, everyone. So just give you some quick enrollment numbers that we're seeing. So we're up again. Oh, look at that pretty view. Don't turn around, Tom. It's this way. That was an amazing view. So this semester, we're actually seeing the change from last year. So we're at 16,797 head count for this term. Those are credit students. That's up 924 from last spring, which is great. We're running at around 6,260 FTES that we're projected to bring in for this term, which is up 578 FTS from last spring. So we're on target for over 14,000 FTS this academic year, which is crazy. Trustee Smith, you may want this number. There's about 3,000 headcount that actually take the San Jacinto campus, take classes at San Jacinto. That's face-to-face or hybrid, so some version of on-ground there. 4,900 headcount at Menifee and about 2,300 headcount at Temecula. So we continue to see classes being offered through the hybrid modality, the face-to-face. They're doing a little bit better, still running about 3/4 full. Hybrids are going off the chart. Online is still off the chart. So it's good to see all that. So we continue to work with the Office of Instruction and the different departments and the deans to make sure that our schedule is spread out as students are demanding. So anyway, those are your numbers, and I'll give you a full report again in March after we hit some census dates. And now Rebecca has a lengthy report.
I have a lot of updates.
Told you.
And he's like, you better move through this quickly. So I will do my best. But first, Sam, I want to thank you for sharing your concerns regarding counseling and advising and stuff. Definitely something that I'll look into further. And perhaps you and I can collaborate so that those students that might have been misadvised in any way, we can set up some follow-up meetings with them. So I just want to circle back to that. We have some changes in our SGA leadership. If you look over to that table over there, you have a new smiley face. I want to introduce you to Claudia Waluko. She is our new president of the SGA. We've had some changes in leadership and we wish Joya nothing but the best this next term, but we are very excited to welcome Claudia to the table. She was previously the vice president of the San Jacinto campus, and she is welcomed this opportunity and we're really excited to have her. So I'm sure she'll have her little report where she can give some more information, but just wanted to formally introduce her. Another update is that Kevin Baker, who's sitting right beside her, completed a project recently for new student IDs. So this was making sure that we had student IDs at each campus, that we could have a new software system, and through his work he was able to do that. So now we have a new badge system and students can go to any campus and get their student IDs, and they're very excited to get those, especially as we have more students coming on campus. Our Eagles Landing, CalWorks, and Food Pantry have moved at the Menifee Valley campus out of the 700 building over into the Science Village, so where the modulars are. So we're trying to get students familiar with that new site and location. So there might be, some different A-frame signs and whatnot that are up so that students are aware that we do offer those services. They have been offered, but it will be a full functioning food pantry at Menifee now. So we're really, really pleased about that. As we mentioned, or as you've seen in our recruitments, you will be seeing probably next month that we will be hiring 8 new student support service specialist positions. We had some really healthy recruitments in the last month and a half. We did final interviews, and I know HR has been working alongside us to offer those positions, but to have a crew of 8 coming on board to be our front line, in addition to the incredible team that we've had, we're just really excited to be able to have that type of support at all of the sites. The last one that 2 things that I want to mention really quickly is that we were notified by the Alliance of Hispanic Serving Institution Educators that Leslie Arias, who is a student of ours, is receiving the Seed to Tree Student Scholarship Award. They'll be traveling to Chicago, where they will be presenting as part of that scholarship award. And she was one of 6 that were awarded out of over 100 applicants. So we're really excited that she's representing Mount San Jacinto College. And then we also have 2 different groups from our campuses that will be presenting at the OSSE conference. We have Dr. Alma Ramirez and Leticia Luna Sims, who's going to be sharing information about the mission statement journey and incorporating the HSI status into that mission statement. And then we also have Catalina Rios and Dominique Ruiz Duarte, who's presenting on embedded tutoring program successes that we've had. So very exciting. And then last bit, our Upward Bound and Talent Search Director notified us this week that they are receiving a $20,000 donation from a company called Wedbush. And they had been a sponsor of ours in the past, but for a much smaller amount. And so to receive $20,000 to be able to support that program is tremendous, because that grant is funded every year, but it's at the same level. And so we don't get the same bang for our buck because costs go up. But for that team to secure that level of a scholarship, we're really excited. And that concludes my report.
And I have a longer report. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a report.
Good evening and welcome back to all. I don't have a report, but I will provide you an update at our next board meeting with regards to all the happenings in the career education division. And thank you, Trustee Corona, for acknowledging the MLK breakfast that will be on Thursday at 8 o'clock at our Menifee Valley campus, building 700. So thank you and hope to see you there.
And I too have no report. Have a good evening.
Oh boy, I do have a lengthy report, so I have a few things. So first of all, I'd like to have Andy, or I can't ask Brandon to help. I need somebody. Ron, can you come here and help hold this? Ron Newman. I need somebody tall, evidently.
Oh, you really do need someone tall.
Yeah, that was a direct shot at you.
Intentional, but anyways, you may notice these. We'll show them to the public. Thank you, Micah. You may notice these around campus, our campuses on La Piedra, and where else are they, Andy? Over at San Jacinto? Okay. So and we're going to continue to see these placed elsewhere. And again, the focus on our students. So thank you, Ron.
Nice, thank you. That's nice.
So, real quick question on those banners. First of all, they look awesome. Great job. Lifespan on those. We looking at what, 2-3 years maybe? Okay, good. Yeah, because there's a college campus nearby that I may work for where they have marketing banners like that up from, I don't know, 5-6 years. And it's dated. It's really dated. So I wanted to avoid that. So, okay, cool. All right. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. It's hard to believe we're in the first week of the spring semester, but as we started, as we were witnessing the tragedies happening because of the winds, we were affected by those winds. But more importantly, as I put out in my opening day message, the MSJC family did not go unscathed. One of our full-time faculty members did lose their home in the Eaton fire. Other members of staff's families had lost their homes as well. And so even though we may be 70, 75 miles away, it has touched us. And then the winds certainly played havoc on our ability to open. Last week during preparation, campuses were shut down at times. But I want to commend the staff for communicating and working through that to have as smooth an opening. We were holding our breath constantly. Jeremy had made plans if we had to flip very quickly. Andy had drafted a bunch of contingency messages. So again, even though we did not lose power this week, we were without power quite a bit last week. And hopefully that'll reflect on our electric bill. 3 days of, yeah. Also over the break, we hosted the annual Rotary Christmas dinner. We will have pictures for that, but again, it was featured in the Press Enterprise, was featured in the state roundup, and again, they fed close to 1,000 people. When I presented in Sacramento yesterday about an item I'll talk about, or 2 days ago, we received a voicemail message from an elderly senior citizen from the area that was in a local trailer mobile home park. And it was touching that she felt that MSJC and the Rotary had given her a place to feel like home and a family. And it was really touching. And it's like, we do things in the classroom. And again, there's so much that we do for the community. And again, we'll bring Rotary in to talk about that event. And I want to thank Rebecca Orlowski from our foundation and her husband, Brian, the Dean of Executive Dean of Institutional Planning. Is Rebecca still here? I know I saw her. Again, they were there firsthand, and I'll have her present later on, but I want to thank them for giving up part of their Christmas day to be the administrators on scene. And she said it was just a powerful and emotional event again. So thank you for that. Working our way through the other major event, we had the American Association of University Women from this year. They expanded to include Hemet. And traditionally, it's just the pass area. We were holding our breath about losing power at the San Jacinto campus, but we literally had hundreds of young ladies from those school districts in the theater and doing workshops. And again, very thankful for the American Association of University Women to partner with us. And the big news, this is something we've been teased with before when we've submitted applications, but I was called to Sacramento to testify and present in front of our Board of Governors on Tuesday regarding this building's center status. And I can tell you, we were unanimously approved for center status. I was even blown away by the numbers. Brandon helped me prepare data and to see where we have come from in such a very short period of time, whether we were out on the old site to this point, from 176 FTE to approaching 4,000 FTE assigned to this campus. The Board of Governors was very impressed. I had never really presented to them before. People came up to me afterwards and said, it was really complimentary, the questioning, and they were very impressed with the facility and the work that we had done there. And it was very visionary that the board supported expansion. So it doesn't just give us an attaboy, it gives us $2.2 million a year annually. So a major achievement and moving us forward to being able to serve our students in this region. So very, very proud.
Very big news.
And ironically, it was with Palomar. I co-presented with my friend, Dr. Star Rivera Lacey, and they had us come up together. And it was kind of funny because I had to tell the part of the story where we were basically having to build a center here because we were losing 3,000 students a year to Palomar. And she was like, thank you very much. So even when we got done, the Board of Governors was like, really cool to see the camaraderie and the collegiality between the two institutions. They got their center status too, but not for Fallbrook. We'll fight that one. They get the one for Rancho Bernardo, which is also a beautiful facility. So congratulations to our sister institution just to the south. And then lastly, I have to apologize in advance if the meeting goes long. I get the joy of going back to Sacramento for a meeting tomorrow morning, so I have to leave tonight. So I'll probably be leaving about 6:15 if the board meeting is not concluded at that point, and then we will have Janine come up here and take the dais for me. So thank you all.
All right, we'll move on to item 5.4, student government report. And please introduce yourself and go ahead.
That's me, right?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Claudia Waluko. I am very excited to be stepping into the role of SGA president this semester. I realize that I have big shoes to fill, but I am excited nevertheless. Thank you to Vice President Teague for the formal introduction. I just wanted to say hi, basically, and let you know that I'm really looking forward to the semester. I think we did a lot last semester as SGA, and one thing that we want to focus on this semester is basically just student engagement and building on what we, the foundation that we laid out last term. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot from you all as well as working with you. So thank you very much for the warm welcome. And yeah, it's going to be an exciting term. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Item 5.5 is classified Senate report. I don't think we're going to have one tonight. So we'll move on to 5.6, classified, academic Senate report. Professor Torres.
Yes, thank you very much. We had sort of technical issues in December, so we actually didn't have a meeting in December. So I have nothing really specifically to report there. But I thought I'd take this opportunity to introduce myself to you guys. I've been on Senate for several years, and as of about a week and a half, I'm now president. Things kind of shifted very quickly. But my name is John Torres. I'm originally from the Navajo Nation. I grew up in the sort of New Mexico corner of the Four Corners area. Lived most of my life out there. I came to California to go to Sherman Indian School, and then I followed that up with UC Riverside, where I got my undergraduate and graduate degrees in anthropology with an emphasis in archaeology, and that's what I teach at the San Jacinto campus. I moved back home for roughly 20 years, where I worked for the tribe, I worked for the Air Force. The Air Force sent me all over the world. It was a great opportunity, and I appreciate that very much. But after 20 some years of field work, I thought, okay, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm tired. Let's go inside. So about 10 years ago, I came back to California to teach full time, and I've been with Mount San Jacinto for about 8 of those years. The last couple of weeks have obviously been very busy for folks, kind of hit the ground running. But I've also been working directly with the governor's office, the Native American Heritage Commission, CAL FIRE, Gabrielino Band Indians, and Gabrielino Band Mission Indians, and the Shumash, specifically working with them to help protect some of their sacred sites in San Gabriel Mountains. I've had morning meetings and evening meetings, helping give coordinates so they can do particular drops and do what they can to help protect those things in light of this horrible tragedy. Obviously wear lots of hats, and I just kind of want to say this mostly to my colleagues that I am here to serve, and I'm happy to be here to serve the faculty at MSJC in this capacity. So thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have you. Thank you for your remarks. Okay, well, we are at that point where we're going to move on to the item 7, the consent agenda. Before we move on to that, is there any items that any trustee would like to pull from the consent agenda before we move forward?
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I would like to pull 7.3.
And trustee Ashley, I'd like to pull item 8.1 from the consent agenda.
I'd like to pull 8.11 and 9.1.
8.11 and what?
0.1.
9.1. Okay. So I would like to call for the, accept a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 7.3, 8.1, 8.11, and 9.1. Do I have a motion at this time?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, we're going to continue to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Now, I'm gonna move to 7.3. Item 7.3 now, we're going to, I'm looking at, it's under new course proposal. Do I have a motion to approve item 7.3? You have to do a motion, then a second and discuss
Discussion.
it during. Okay. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I just like to ask questions. Where is it going to be and what type of equipment are they going to provide when they are doing this? Is it just one type of machine? Do they have TIG? Do they have wire, stick? What are they going to do?
All that. No, to answer your question, trustee Smith, our welding program is what you're speaking of. And so we will initially start in partnership with Hemet. They have a site on their Hemet Unified School District that we will partner and start our offering there. We will also be offering our welding program at the Paris Skill Center as well, as we continue to build out the program with equipment and location for our San Jacinto campus. It will be one of our signature programs for our San Jacinto campus is our ultimate goal.
So you're going to work with him at Unified at the Alessandro campus where they have that program going.
Absolutely.
If you are able to mirror that in Paris, you will be doing great. That's a great program. Thank you.
That is our goal. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, that said, we'll move to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's passed. We'll now move on to item 8.1, interim administrative appointment. Do I have a motion to approve?
Sure, Ashley, I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, trustee Corona seconds. Do we have discussion on this item? I know we do.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ashley. First, I want to thank Dean Zappia, soon to be Dean Zappia, for stepping into the role of interim dean of instruction. By doing so, you have helped the college and taxpayers avoid a lengthy search process while ensuring continuity of service in the instructional area. Now to the reason I asked to pull this item. I have a question regarding the duties of this specific dean position. By way of background, as you may recall, last Wednesday, Southern California Edison and the San Jacinto campus was listed on a potential location for a power shutoff for SoCal Edison. So out of caution, the home basketball doubleheader against College of the Desert was moved to Palm Desert. While there, I observed Dean Zappia working closely with the men's basketball team, and I was struck by the value he brings to an athletics program, especially one that serves a high concentration of socioeconomically disadvantaged students. So this raises a concern about his new role. Will Dean Zappia's responsibilities as interim dean prevent him from continuing to support the men's basketball program? Given our stated commitment to helping disadvantaged youth through initiatives like the Call to Action, I believe his involvement is crucial. So my question to staff is this: will Dean Zappia be allowed to continue assisting the men's basketball program and without impediment?
I guess I should take this one. I know that Nick Zappia loves coaching basketball, and we've actually had this conversation about this. I was an interim dean at one point myself. I went from faculty, it was a pretty quick turnaround and moved into a position like that. And especially on the front end, I did have the flexibility to continue in some of the duties that I had been doing in the faculty role. And I'm giving Nick kind of the same advice that I got, that the job of the instructional dean, as many of us who've done that job know, is kind of never ending. Like it can start at any time, it can end at any time. And so there is a lot of balancing that's going on. And so if he's able to balance that with the workload of the dean, then I support him continuing to do that work.
Very good. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, I'll call for the student trustee vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Congratulations, Dean Zappia. The next item we have pulled is item 8.11, 811, volunteers. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All right, any discussion? Go ahead.
Yes, so it says these volunteers, they play an invaluable role in the operation of the college. This is another example of the fine community support received by the Mount San Jacinto Community College District. So we have 2 individuals here, volunteers, and it is recommended we acknowledge their contributions, but I just need I would like to have an explanation how so they don't get paid, they're volunteering. What
Correct.
exactly are they volunteering with?
Yeah, so they are, these 2 particular volunteers volunteer in the ASC, which is known throughout the state as DSPS. And they volunteer to take notes for students who need assistance. Sometimes they're, they help on field trips. And so usually we have people who volunteer to do that because they're not a paid position. So they volunteer for a short period of time if they're needed in that services area.
And it does recommend that we acknowledge, so I just want to formally acknowledge their contributions. Thank you.
Without any other discussion, we'll move to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
And if I could just add, we do acknowledge them with a letter from the president acknowledging them and thanking them for their service.
All right, moving on to the pulled item 9.1, contracts. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve, Chair Ashley.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item?
Yes, I needed some background information, some more background, so understanding, it says the Riverside Community College and MSJC, there's a contract, $669,253. An additional 36,000 will be spent, but so what exactly is this contract? Can there be a higher, can you please explain? For number one, so we're receiving this money, but what is actually taking place with this contract?
So MSJC has been very fortunate to be awarded what's called the HRTP, which is High Road Training Program grants. And so under our administrative leadership of Associate Tanya Burt, who leads these efforts, this particular one, the 36,000, is a sub-award to MSJC to support our CPL credit for prior learning activities that we have, so that we can be more up to date, more aligned with what the state recommendations are with CPL. And so it just helps support our efforts around that with faculty development, faculty training, and support to our students that are looking for that credit for prior learning.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion on contracts?
No.
Okay, we'll move to the student trustee advisory vote.
Aye.
Right, and please vote. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, 5-0, passes. Thank you. Now we are on to our open agenda. The first item is our strategic plan 2025 to 2028. It's recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the strategic plan for 2025 to 2028. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve the strategic plan.
Second.
And we have a second with trustee Carpenter. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll move on to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
Those, all right, trustees in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to 11.2, board policy manual revisions. And do I have a motion to approve the revised board policy updates?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this item? I'll remind everyone this was something that was presented to us and now we've had a chance to look it over. These revisions were not as extensive as last year's. That was like reading a book. So that's a positive thing to me. Any other discussion? With that, we'll move to the student advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, trustees in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, 5-0. At this point, we will move to item 12.1, comments of individuals, groups, delegations, limited to non-agenda items. And we do have one speaker, Ann Jeanette Oberg, and she's going to speak about psychology and ethnic studies. Well, actually, that's the organization, the group she represents. So the agendized item she'd like to talk about is ethnic studies. Professor Oberg, you have 3 minutes from the time you start speaking. Thank you.
Mahalo. The psych department is one of the most efficient and productive departments at the college. We're often the third or fourth largest department at the college with one of the largest number of sections and FTS numbers served by any other department. As of last year, our department generated $1.6 million in revenue, and we produced the second largest number of ADTs than any other department. So we're a highly productive department in spite of some of the concerns and barriers and adversity that we faced, as I mentioned earlier. And even with that, our faculty serve as Phi Theta Kappa advisors, honors advisors. We serve on the IPC committee, the equivalence committee. We had Senate leadership representation, PD committee, Psych Club, STEM Club, Sexuality and Gender Alliance Club. So we're very actively involved in the institution. One area where I have the honor of serving is the Ethnic Studies Advisory Council. I actually was able to help found that advisory council in partnership with one of my counseling colleagues, Elias Escamilla. And it was one of the most diverse and representative committees. It was across disciplines and across constituent groups. And we met regularly. We faced some barriers and resistance with administration. And in that program, we actually have sociology representation. So in November, you approved the hiring list, which included an ethnic studies position. So what you approved eliminated a psych position against the recommendations of Senate. You approved an ethnic studies position and merged it with sociology. There was one question asked in your discussion, and it was it done in consultation with faculty? And Jeremy indicated yes. He also indicated that some of the rationale for that merger was that most ethnic studies courses are cross-listed. What he did not share, sociology is not one of the disciplines with any cross-listed ethnic studies classes, not one. Sociology was not consulted prior to that decision, nor was the Ethnic Studies Advisory Council. I sought to reconvene the council to discuss the position, and I was discouraged from doing so. And I actually wrote the joint hiring application for the ethnic studies position, and I was not brought into the conversation. And sadly, you all don't necessarily seek the faculty expertise in the room. And in terms of department and program development, in terms of Title V and Senate allotment, that's an area where you should defer to faculty. So I'm encouraging you to consider faculty voice and engagement in informing your decisions moving forward.
Thank you, Professor Oberg. Moving on to our information agenda items, item 13.1, accreditation update. We will get a update by Dean Sterling
Actually, I will be providing that.
or by Vice President Teague.
I know, we just want to keep you on your toes for who it might be. So we
I
don't,
missed your name because it was the first name and I saw, Miss.
oh, good, no, and I
Arlene.
appreciate Anna.
Yep.
But I do want to just update you informally on where we're at, specifically to accreditation and what we shared in December. So obviously we shared the core inquiries. Nothing has changed related to that, except that we were able to communicate the core inquiry report to our accreditation steering committee yesterday. So we were able to share that information and kind of our plans moving forward. It was the exact same presentation we presented to you all. So we're just making sure that we have consistency in our messaging so that the college community is aware of what those core inquiries are. We do plan to publish, actually it is already published on our SharePoint site and has been up there since the board meeting in December, but we do plan to do an update during a brown bag that we will be having coming up for all staff. We also have an all faculty meeting coming up in the first week of February that we will be sharing that information. And then obviously we'll be working with SGA to be able to present to them in a more specific way so that they understand all the core inquiries and can ask any questions that they might have. So all of that will be coming in the next few weeks. All of the documentation, as I mentioned, is on the SharePoint site. So every element in this process is getting uploaded to that main site so that we have a central repository for that. We did receive communication from our team chair yesterday that we will be scheduling a logistics meeting next week with them to discuss hotels and logistics on where they'll stay, where we will have the main evaluation team located. Right now, we're leaning towards the Temecula Valley campus simply because of the hotels that in our close proximity, so that they have a little bit of flexibility and ability to choose. So we'll be offering that up to them next week. The chair also communicated the members of the visiting team yesterday. And so we will be publishing that on our SharePoint site and we'll be getting you all a copy, but there will be 5 team members total, including the 2 co-chairs of the evaluation team, as well as 3 additional members representing the various core inquiries that they'll be reviewing with us upon their visit. And then we will have also our VP of ACCJC as our liaison, and she will be in attendance. So there'll be a total of 6. So we will be working on that. The other thing we are doing right now is that because we now know who the team visitors will be, we are providing them with the permissions to view the distance education class sampling, the additional 50 courses from the fall 24 term, so that they can review that prior to their visit in relation to that core inquiry. So we've already randomized the DE courses and have established those. Communication will be sent out via Dr. Brown's office to communicate out to those faculty that they're coming in. So once we have those permissions set, we'll be communicating that out widely so that everyone knows what the process is. Lastly, we will be meeting as a community college district, but also specifically with our academic senate, since some of those core inquiries absolutely deal with faculty oversight and purview. We want to get their recommendations on how to move forward specifically to the distance education piece and see what those recommendations can be. Obviously, what has happened in the past in fall 24, we can't majorly adjust at this point, but we can have conversations about what that might look like in the future, depending on the site visit team's review. But we are working furiously to get ready for the visit. Lots of things need to happen in the next several weeks. We will be communicating a more formal presentation to the board in February regarding all of the logistics, all of the interview schedules. Everything will hopefully be finalized at that point so that you have enough time to review and provide any recommendations that you might want to have. Any questions?
So real quick, so in my schedule, I've got those 3 days kind of blocked out. Should I continue to keep those blocked out?
I would for right now until
Okay.
we know. We'll be able to give you a little bit more detail as we get closer. Obviously, we would really welcome all of the board members and obviously the college community to come to the report out that is on Thursday. So that's an absolute that we would love to have you there to hear about the summary of the visit and the possible recommendations or commendations. The open forum, y'all are not invited to, so that one you don't have to worry about, but we'll put that in a tentative schedule so you'll have a better sense of where you can open up your calendar again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice President Teague. We will now move on to the next information item, which is 13.2, Common Course Numbering System Update. And instead of reading all the background, I figure we'll get the gist of it from Dr. Brown's report. So you are up, sir.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me from this mic? Sounds like
Yeah.
yes. I've been looking forward to sharing this topic with you all, although fair warning, it's a super dry topic, so you may not be awake at the end. But a number of us have been working since around the summer on beginning to implement this mandate that we have from the legislature. We have a very talented team of folks that touch on multiple elements of this area. So before I begin, I just want to give credit to our articulation officer, Lindsay Tone, our associate dean of instructional services, Sherry Nash, Dean Alma Ramirez, now interim dean Nick Zappia, as well as some additional team members, and our curriculum committee have played a major role in where we're headed with this. So this is important because it will be impacting student schedules going into next fall. So really wanted to share this with the board, but also really get it out to the student community as much as possible. So the goal of AB 1111 is to streamline transfer, to make transfer more efficient. And the idea is that if you're taking a course at MSJC, it has the same course number as the same course at RCC, at COD, at any of the other colleges. And that's a huge job when you have hundreds of courses to deal with. So what this means for students, we have 115 community colleges, endless variety, right? You could have a number of different course numbers. It's not just the course numbers, it's the content that can be completely different. Just some examples, if you look at the same English course at our college, RCC, COD, you're looking at 3 different numbers. I actually got for COD and RCC, those are actually incorrect ENGL numbers. They're actually ENG. So imagine you look at ENG, you don't know if that's engineering, you don't know if it's English. A lot of variety causes confusion for multiple people. What this does is complicates transfer to the CSU or UC. We have a lot of students that transfer in and out between different colleges from ours into others. It complicates that process. It may increase time to completion and increase the number of units that students are needlessly earning by repeating classes. So the goal of this is that every single college community course will have the same number as well as other elements. So what elements are going to align and what elements are changing through our curriculum revision process? The subject, course number, course title, course description, also prereqs and coreqs, right? Which are usually a course that you're required to take before you can take the said course. And so what this looks like, if you look at our catalog, the red line puts the areas around what will be aligning. So you'll see those 3 areas. In addition to that, it's also the content itself that has to align. They use the same sample textbook. Colleges do have the ability and faculty have the ability to choose other textbooks, but they wanted a common kind of basic textbook through that. So some details. And for students, here's what you'll be seeing change coming in fall of 25. So if you look at your left-hand side, those are our current course numbers. The statewide committee that has done this work and was at work over the past 2 years before it got to us selected the 6 most enrolled courses as a starting point. So we're starting small in terms of numbers of courses, but this actually touches almost half of our students every semester. So of our normal head count, almost half of our students will take one or more of these courses in next fall. So our English 101 will become ENGL C1000. That seems simple and easy and not confusing at all, right? It's going to be, we're going to have some growing pains here. So the new numbers have a C in front of them,
Yeah, why?
4 digits, because they
Because
told
if
us
they're
that,
all C, isn't that kind
because
of
they
like
told us they
unneeded?
have to. Really, we have
Is
to.
there a B or a D on some like other classes?
There are not, but it gets worse. Honors courses will have an H at the end of all that. So if you're taking English 100 honors, you would have a C 1000H on your course number. Now that is not streamlining things in my opinion, right? It actually complicates our catalog for a while. So, and I get to that a little bit later, but our catalog will get a little bit confusing for at least a few years. Students will be looking at our 3 course numbers and then 6 of these classes that we have to line up on these 5 digits, right? We don't have a choice. Yeah.
But it's worth it because it's gonna line up with what CSU and UC have, right?
That's unfortunate. No, they're not being forced to change. So their numbers are not aligning, only ours. So sad, so sad.
But it'll be really nice for their counselors to look at what students have taken, right?
It should. I think that's really the hope. And I think it'll actually help our staff. Right. Exactly.
Has to start somewhere.
So at any rate, this is the list of courses. Notice Math 140, which is our main stats class, will now have STAT in front of it instead of math. So in the same department, they'll have a math and a stat. But that, again, we're required to make that change. So at any rate, those are the classes. Looking ahead a year, fall of 26, we're doing 24 courses, and they're in these areas. So they're covering more of the major GE courses. They're covering the entire calculus sequence. They're covering sociology, US history, and a number of our other really popular courses. We just found out this week the list of phase 3 courses. So here they are. And they're getting more deep into major requirements. So the business department shows up here a lot. The business major will be covered in fall of 2027. Administration of justice will be covered at that time. Little old music there at the bottom, actually, those courses will go through. So that's kind of the cadence that they're going at. We do expect there will be a 4th phase after that because they've already kind of broadcast that. So at MSJC, we have actually made some local improvements that to our process, really in the interest of helping students through this transition. And so one, through our curriculum process, we have basically frozen changes to those common elements that there will be. So imagine we have a regular, you see on your board agenda every month, regularly we're revising our courses. Every 5 years, most courses have to be revised. Well, if I revise a course and I change, let's say, a prerequisite for next year, then the mandate comes along the following year and takes that prerequisite away. You now have student ed plans that have added a prereq, taken away a prereq. You've got staff that have to make that change. You've got students that have catalog rights to certain things. It can create a lot of chaos. And so we're freezing those changes at this time while we go through that process, so that we hope that will help. Also, starting next month, the new 6 courses will already be available in self-service. So we're getting way ahead of the game with that. Self-service is what students use to select their courses, to plan their educational plans. So new students won't be looking at our old numbers. They'll never learn the old numbers. For existing students, we have teams that will be going into current ed plans and proactively making those changes on their behalf. So again, trying to just pull them. Ideally, most students won't know these things are happening, right? It just should happen seamlessly. So those things are happening. And then the immediate impact to students, another big project will be happening and will be landing, and that's Cal GETSI. So this is a good thing. Cal GETSI hits, it actually eliminates one of the transfer patterns, one of the general education patterns. So students will have a transfer GE and a local, and they won't have 3, right? So it does simplify things, but also this common course numbering, as I've mentioned, does kind of complicate things. So it's getting better and worse throughout the transition. The phase one courses will be student facing for the fall of 2025. And we anticipate this will start more conversations on streamlined articulation efforts as well. And then finally, some possible benefits that are kind of being discussed at this point, kind of imagining into the future, where courses become aligned, it actually may foster communication among faculty across the system, not just across our college, but across the system. So more sharing of information, more sharing of instructional materials. One of our priorities is to continue to expand zero-cost materials for students. That should make that easier. If Sierra College has developed a zero-cost text in their course, well, our course aligns, we may be able to just adopt that, right? And then it also should actually make more efficient the curriculum development and review process as well, because there will be those kind of boundaries given the statewide mandate. So hopefully some benefits that we'll see long-term from this. Again, we don't have a choice. It's legislature, but there will be some positives. So, and that's all I have on that. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Dr. Brown. That was really good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Real quick, what's the deadline for compliance?
So we'll have a new deadline for every phase. So the deadline for compliance on phase one was, Nick probably knows off the boom, December 1st, and we met that with flying colors. So, and folks are continuing to move forward.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yes, Sam.
So the same way that you guys decided to implement it early, would that be happening within every phase or?
So we're actually not implementing it early. We got started on it so that we were ready to, but all of the colleges are actually marching forward on the same deadlines for the same years. That's a great question. And I have heard that 90-something% of the colleges met the deadline, have made those changes. So COD, MSJC will be making the same catalog changes at the same catalog year. Yeah, great question. Any other questions?
My concern is that when these colleges are trying to get the textbooks, you know, that, because you said that each class tries to get the same book, right? Are they gonna try to get the same book? the same textbook?
So not necessarily. That was something in the initial planning that the statewide group was doing. They had identified that as an area they wanted the same. Faculty really pushed back on that and wanted academic freedom on choices when it comes to materials, because that is a delicate thing, right?
Yeah.
So there is a sample textbook that has to be in the course outline of record. It has to be listed as an option, but faculty will still be able to choose what textbook they're using.
It's delicate, especially if you're the author of the book.
I'm sorry?
Especially if you're the author of the book and you're the
Could be.
professor in your class.
Could be. And have a publisher. You have to
Yeah.
have a publisher if you do that, but yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Brown.
Thanks a lot.
Item 13.3, Legislative Advocacy Priorities Update. Karen Marriott, Director of Government Relations, is stepping up to provide an update of the district's legislative priorities for 2025. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much, Board President and members of the board. I'm really pleased to present the government relations effort. Can you hear me okay? I always think I'm so loud. The governmental relations efforts here at Mount San Jacinto College. I think this is a nice springboard for us in a new era that we can build upon as we get more sophisticated with our advocacy efforts. So this is a great place to start and good timing as we will be going to Sacramento, delegation from MSJC and also DC in February. And we are working with Mark McDonald to schedule appointments with legislators in Sacramento. And on the federal side, we are securing a contract to work with an advocate there so that we're prepared. But I'm going to just cover these topics quickly, you know, a little bit about the office, our legislative priorities, and how we're moving forward. And before I kind of do the deep dive, what I'd like to do is thank the Public Information Office and the print shop because they really did work quickly for me on some of these things.
Yeah, I think I recognize that photograph right there.
Yeah, you might. It's a good photo. So just the best thing to do, Micah, can you help me get to the homepage to learn a little bit more about government relations at Mount San Jacinto College now? Is to go to the homepage. And I hope this is a tool that's a good resource for our students, those of us who work at the college, and for our communities. But if you go to departments, go over to the president's office and hit the government relations tab. That explains a little bit about how we're supporting the mission of the college by advocating for our students in the college district, a little bit about the services we provide. And what I'm really excited about is on the left-hand navigation bar there. If, Micah, you don't mind clicking on that. Yep. And then go down to the House of Representatives, because that's a good first example. You can see the representatives whose districts touch the communities within MSJC's districts. Here, you can click through to their websites and do a deeper dive to get to know who they are and what committees they stand on. I've developed a packet for you for an easier preview of all of that as well. But this just gives an overview of our delegation in elected office. And then Mike, if you could go out and tap on that bill tracker tab. This is another great tool. It connects us to the Chancellor's Office and the CC League. So we can start looking ahead and anticipating how we might need to position ourselves to either create awareness or ask for policy changes or, you know, be in position for funding and so forth. So those are some great tools. But if you could go back to a PowerPoint. So that's a little bit about the office. And our priorities that we developed, and I want to thank EC as well for providing direction on that, are aligned with the institutional priorities and the Chancellor's Office 2030 goals. And just a real quick snapshot, we're starting here. This is our starting point. Full funding for our enrollments is the #1 priority. Emerging programs is #2, and then support for our high priority students. And when we go talk to those legislators, we might be asking them for a number of things. Like I said, building awareness so they understand what our issues are, looking for policy changes, or asking for funding, or all of the above. That's it. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Otherwise, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, what do you foresee are some of the challenges when we meet up with these legislatures, these assemblymen and these congressmen? What do you foresee are some of the challenges that we might face?
I think our biggest challenge up there is we're going to be up there with all the other community colleges, so we have to make a pitch that they're going to remember. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge. Yeah, I will. I got elbows.
Karen, also, do we have the ability, I don't think I've seen it since I've been on the board, but for call to action, you know, we have bills that we want to make sure that our student community and all of us can respond to whichever bill it is, oppose or support.
We'll be working with Mark McDonald. In fact, we did that for full funding. As a college district, we joined some other districts. So yeah, we'll be presenting more of that as we move along.
If I could just add, we have realized with as competitive an environment as it is, and I'll tell you, Riverside Community College District, although we're competing for funds with them, they have been very gracious in sharing their responsibilities. And I know 2 years ago when we went up to Sacramento, we basically had Xeroxed handouts in a binder. And we knew that we really wanted to become more professional and comprehensive and systematic. And Karen has done a great job at pulling all that together. And again, what you're seeing right here, and although she touched on federal, those legislative priorities are certainly those for California. But there are things that we have been advised, like we're not going to get university center funding for San Marcos and other four-year schools. That is going to be the federal ask, and we're going to tailor that. So this is laying the foundation, and we're going to be able to start to be able to be more competitive. And again, I think it's complementary with Riverside because we are so far away. They don't see us as a direct competitor, but we do realize we have to have a more polished, systematic, strategic approach. Because right now, I think they said 13% of their budget comes from, but they're aspiring to get
That's right.
30% of their budget from, I don't want to call them
From
earmarks,
state and
but
federal earmarks, yeah.
special funding. So
And this is the leave behind. You have a copy of this that will be leaving with our legislators. It has a packet of our legislative priorities in it, and then there'll be a special pullout of the item we're there to discuss with them. So they don't have to look through the booklet. They'll just have that one sheet. They don't have time to read a lot. So we're leaving this behind this time, not the Xerox copies.
Want to add in, I feel like we have an upper hand. We're improving a lot. And I think a large part of it is, Roger, your position in the CCCL, as a president and the board, and then also the fact that you're going to go to Sacramento like within 10 days, 3 times. Weren't you just there yesterday? And you're going tomorrow?
I'll trade you.
And then the 24th, you're going again?
Yeah, and
Wow.
I'll get in around 11 o'clock tonight and I'll be at it tomorrow morning at 8. So yeah, I'm getting a little too old for this.
I have another, so we're going to be there in Sacramento. Do we have, at that point, wouldn't we make appointments with our legislators to, to say hi and, or speak to some issues that we would have?
Yes, in fact, we're working with Mark right now to make those appointments. So we'll be able to give you an itinerary of who we'll be meeting with and what talking points we'll have to go in. So you'll be prepared. I'll go over.
Perfect. That would be on Monday, then,
Uh,
right?
Yeah, on Monday
Okay.
we'll have those
Okay.
appointments. So we'll have Sunday to review all the materials together.
Okay.
Trustees Corona's point, though, it's about getting exposure, familiarity, being in their face constantly so that they do get to know you. And I think we have an awareness locally, but I think Sacramento, we need to continue to push as well as federally. And that's why it's one of the board goals. And we will continue to support that. And I think you're going to see a great amount of return on investment from Karen's work and the consultants as well.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Item 13.4, President's Honor List, Fall 2024. The Superintendent President recognizes each semester's outstanding scholars by publishing a list of and mailing a letter and certificate to those who carried 12 or more units of work the previous semester and whose grade point average is 3.5 or higher in all courses attempted. President's Honor Roll List for Fall 2024 term reports 2,501 students who have achieved this distinction. That's fantastic. So, and the list is there for you to look at. It's just an information item, but great job, students. At this point, we are at item 14.1, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Discussion. Seeing none, we'll go to the student trustee vote.
Aye.
Do we have please vote yay if you agree?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Yay.
No? All right, it's 5-0 to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. Drive home safely, please.
6:07 PM.